Alright, Kawi fans, here's a video that's gonna make your life simple and stop you from cussing like a sailor. Usually the issue you get with your ZX10 like mine is eventually you get a ticking sound. It sounds like loose valves, but it's not. It's actually the timing chain tensioner. Pretty much this thing right here. Problem is, in the design, it uses this spring to keep tension so it automatically adjusts and takes up the slack on the loose end of the timing chain. Problem is, Kawi's design has got a flaw, i.e. this thing right here. It's not keeping enough tension. From a lot of the people that usually get that noise, a lot of them have this thing installed, a quick shifter. And what's happening is when the quick shift, eventually you hit one gear too hard and the tensioner backs out because the slack side now gets tension on it and pushes back in this thing right here. So what is happening is eventually this rod right here gets pushed back in, and the spring over time weakens to where it doesn't push it back out. Well, here's the pain in the butt part. It's located right here behind this bad boy. Not that hard to get to. Simply loosen this, take this screw out, take this screw out, and this one here, and you can actually pry the cover off and you can get to it. Not exactly the easiest thing to get to, because another problem you run into, if you notice on the tensioner here, the hole close by my thumb is really close to the housing here. So getting a wrench onto it is not exactly easy. You can only use a socket. By using a socket, now you have an issue, because if you can see in the video right here, your coolant hose and thermostat housing is right there. So you really don't have much real estate to work with. So the best option is, what I found, if you have to pull it out, is you're gonna need a socket wrench and a really shallow 8mm socket to get to these screws right here, these bad boys, so that you can get them out if you have to pull the whole thing. Well, this should save you a whole bunch of headaches, because I figured out a simple and easy way to fix that problem. Take a Allen key like this one and cut the short end off like I did right here. Now what you're going to do, you're going to insert the cut off Allen key into it, because the bolt is actually hollow. The spring actually sits inside this bolt. So you're going to be able to put it on like this, right? And hold on, let me get this threaded. Now what's going to happen is, as you tighten the bolt here, as you can see, it's pushing out onto the tensioner plug, and you can probably hear it because you're hearing the tensioner here click. And what's happening is, as it goes out, the locking pin here is locking in on the plunger so that it doesn't back out. Do that. What I did was simply start the bike. I got a knocking sound, and I turned it off, turned it till I get. What you want to do is actually go half a turn, check the bike, another half turn, check the bike, until you get the ticking to stop. Now if you back it out, you want to do this real slowly so that you hear when the lock-in pin here clicks. That means it moved down a notch on the plunger. That way you know it moved a notch, and that way you're not going to take it back out and boom, the ticking is still there. If you do this right, you want to, like I said, go half a turn so that you're not over tightening it, and then you have to start the pain in the butt process of taking the whole thing out just to move the plunger back in and start that whole process over. If you do it right, you should be a lucky person like me to where you go to your bike and fire it up and you don't get that annoying timing chain slap. Now, if you've been riding the bike for a long time, one of the things you're probably gonna run into is that there is here is the crank, and you can see the bottom half of the guides for the timing chain. If you've been riding for a long time with that sound, you're probably gonna have to pull this bad boy off and check and make sure that the chain did not destroy those guides. If they do, now you have a bigger problem. You're gonna probably have to pull the whole motor just to replace those things and do it all over. But like I said, if done right, you should fire up the bike and no sound like this. Sounds just like new. Good luck, guys.